Three Yom Yoms we didn't do yesterday's, and we have to do today's and tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Shabbat. The birth of the Baal Shem Tov, that was yesterday. In 16 in 1698. And so it was like 320 years ago. This is also the same day that his teacher and master appeared to the Baal Shem Tov. Now, the teacher of the Baal Shem Tov was a man called Achia Hashiloni. And Achia Hashiloni was one of those figures that just doesn't die. And he was in the days of King David, and he was in the days of Moses even. And he was the one, anyway, it's Achia Hashiloni. So he appeared to him in 1724 when he was 26 years old. And then later on, like 5 years later, 10 years later, this was the day that Baal Shem Tov became revealed. He revealed himself to others. It says that his Achia Hashiloni came to him and every day taught him the Torah. Every year he would teach him one book of the Torah with all the different Kabbalistic explanations, the Hasidic explanations. That's when the Baal Shem Tov became revealed and started teaching Hasidut to activate all the Jewish people. Okay, that was in 1698. The Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe was born 47 years later, on the same day, yesterday, 18th day of Elul. It is also the day when they started learning Torah in the yeshivas of Chabad, Tomchei Tamimim. That was okay. The outline of the Baal Shem Tov's discourse said, Parshat, this week's Torah portion, Parshat Kitavo, after Shabbat. I saw somebody ask the question, just one moment. It will be, or made a comment, it will be when you come into the land that God gives you for an inheritance, for a possession, and you will possess it and you will dwell in it. The Midrash says that the word Eretz Yisrael, you come to the land. It doesn't say the land of Israel. It says when you come to the land that God gives you. The word for Hebrew in land is very similar to the word for will. Also, merutza, running to something. Desire, ratzon. When you come into the land, when you come to this level of desire, in other words, desiring God, this is a gift from God. And it is an inheritance for every single Jew, this inner desire to become closer to God and make God closer to us. When you awaken this desire, eretz, this desire, then your service is to dwell in it, make it settled inside of you, and then bring it down into a settled way. What is that? What do you mean? Put it in a basket. A basket means putting it into the proper vessels. In one place it says Tena means the letters of the Torah. What is it? Tamim, Nechudat Otiot, it says the letters of the Torah, and go to the place where God will choose. You should go to the place where God chooses. What does that mean? God chooses. A Jew has to know that when you go from one place to another, you are not going on your own, but you're being directed by God. And the intention, why do you find yourself in every place, no matter where you find yourself, is to make God's name dwell there, to make God known in that place. And after the Baal Shem Tov, that was what the Baal Shem Tov said on his birthday. And afterwards, the Baal Shem Tov said, on the same sentence, when you come to this land, the land means desire. Like we said before, you have to make his name dwell there. You are supposed to utterly dedicate yourself to making God known wherever you are. How do you do that? By making even the smallest thing, make a blessing on a fruit or whatever, and say a verse of Psalms. One little sentence of praise to God that everybody can see. You realize that the physical apple is really God's apple. He made it. And also say a sentence of Tehillim, of Psalms of King David, which King David was the Mashiach. And you're praying to God to give us help. That was yesterday. Pretty nice, actually. Let's see 1 second. What is this? And go here. Chafelo. 20th day of Elul. This is coming Shabbat. Okay. Next. Yeah, here we go. Tomorrow. When the Alter Rebbe was still in Vitebsk, he once said, they said Uh, oh, this is for next week's portion. Atem nitzavim. That's next week's Torah portion. You are standing today in front of God. That's how it starts off. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokechem. You are standing today. He said, what does it mean standing? He said, nitzavim means here. Nitzavim. Nitzavim. Oh, so it says, I'm sorry, the sentence says, you are standing today in front of God. You, all of the Jews, the wood choppers, the water drawers, the heads of the tribes, for the lowest, the most simple, and the highest. It said, wood choppers, the word for wood in Hebrew also means advice. Eitzah and eitzin. Chopping wood means that you chop out the bad advice which is given to you by your selfish impulse, the heart of man. Right? The heart of man gives you like get angry, get depressed, right? Have lust, go after it, steal, lie, cheat, right? That's from your heart. It says chop the eitz, chotev eitzecha, means to chop up those bad advices which are given. And drawing water, he said, you have to draw out the water. Water is synonymous with pleasure in Judaism. The first chapter of the Tanya. Water is synonymous with pleasure. So you have to drain out, chop away the bad thoughts that come into your mind, and also get rid of the pleasure that you get from the world. Pleasure, drain out the water. Don't look to the world for getting pleasure. Look to the world for things that you need in order to serve God. But the pleasure of the world is not supposed to be your goal. So drain out the water. It says, chotev etzecha means to chop away the advice. V'shoev emecha means draining out the water, the pleasures from the world, the potential pleasures from the world. That is today's Yom Yom. And now tomorrow. One minute. I mean, these are pretty deep advice. It's sort of like maybe too much at one time, but you can go back and watch it again and see what the Rebbe has to say. Here we have. Oh, here's a short one, but this is maybe the deepest one of them all. Friedrich Rebbe says, one who is lowly and crass, a person who is very low and is insensitive, does not sense his own insensitivity and lowness. Person is low and insensitive. I mean, today you can see it in. Let's not get a big. But I don't want to go into this too much. But it's really quite amazing. There was just now assassinated in America this fellow that was a very wonderful speaker, and he went to universities and he confronted all these super leftists and woke people with pure logic, and he let them talk and they had a conversation. And he was very good. He was very good. And I mean, the fact is that he was very smart, but he really did not have to be very smart in order to refute the stupid, foolish ideas, which are this whole idea of woke is based on destructive. But nevertheless, he was brave. Also, he was brave. And he was shot. They shot him. Someone, they don't even know who did it. But nevertheless, he was assassinated. He was killed, right? So they interviewed people on the I saw it, briefly. And they interviewed some of these people from university and said it was good that he was killed. I would have done it too. He deserved it, right? He was just a debater. He just, he didn't come and, try to foist his ideas on anybody. He just let people speak, and he spoke to them. And he just said, well, don't you think like this? Don't you think like this? Can you answer this question? This question? And people couldn't answer, So either people started waking up, and more people, a lot of people were very intimidated in the universities that they didn't want to open their mouths. But as soon as they saw him, they saw he was speaking logically, right, and very just clearly. He wasn't an argumentative. He didn't try to knock people down and show how stupid they are. Exactly, just presented his side of the argument, and people didn't have what to say. It was very, very, very effective. And he was assassinated. So, and these people hated him, for that reason. So that's being crass. That's being low. That's being insensitive. That's being stupid. And you can see clearly that these people really honestly think that they're smarter than everybody else. There's a saying in Judaism that the most stupid thing you can do is to think that you're smarter than everybody else. And that's what the Rebbe is saying. A person who's low does not sense his lowness and his own crassness. Okay, now this is not talking about the other guy. This is not talking about the other guy. Because I see this in other people, don't think it doesn't mean that it's not applicable to me, right? If I think that I'm okay, then it's a sign that I'm probably not okay. And then because I can't sense my own lackings and I make excuses for my own things, it's a pretty good sign that I'm wrong. And therefore, it's a good thing to have a friend or to have an advisor to talk about and advise. That's ideally the thing of a friend for bringing, the Hasidic for bringing, is that one person points out to the other, what is proper and maybe what you're doing is not proper. It's not a good thing to do in public. The Hasidim, once these Hasidim used to do it in public and point out the faults of others, right? Now they don't do that anymore. It's not an acceptable thing because people won't accept it. But to do it in private, because we should know that the faults we have, we do not feel, we do not see. And that which we see in others is just really we're seeing ourselves, just a reflection of ourselves. And we do the same thing we accuse others of doing. And therefore, but maybe in a more subtle way, maybe not. Okay, now story.